All right, man, to get right into it, Weapons. My review of Weapons, the movie by Zach CREGGER, the second horror movie that he's done. The first one being Barbarian, which was a few years back, which was one of my favorite horror. This is still one of my favorite horror movies, like in general. Like I still like recommend that to people every now and then, or just randomly put it on whenever. Is it even on HBO anymore? Because the last time remember hearing about it is that they were taking it off of HBO Max, and it was going to be nowhere else to watch that. But it's funny because he previously came from comedy. He came from this sketch show that I used to watch with my friends called Whitest Kids You Know. That was basically just a sketch comedy show, and him and his friend Trevor Moore produced that, or made that show. And unfortunately, a few years back, Trevor passed away from some incident, but he passed away, and that was one of Ryan's big catalysts for this movie. He actually said that he wrote this movie to cope with Trevor Moore's death. Not really cope with, but he was writing the movie while he was thinking about Trevor Moore's death. So the thing is that comedy writers, for some reason, are very good at making horror. So look at Jordan Peele, for example. Like he would, I feel like it's their timing, or they know when. It's something about comedy. It's something like they know when to be serious and they know when to be like joking. And going into this movie, I had high expectations just based off missing in a classroom, and that's it. There are 17 kids missing from a classroom, and that's all that you basically know from this film and the marketing from it. Off rip, I think this is going to be one of the instant classic movies. Same thing I said with Sinners. Like, you can already tell when something is going to be an instant classic, and audiences are liking it. I believe it made either half its budget back, or it made half its budget back already from opening weekend. So it's resonating very good with audiences. Because we have a pod episode dropping about it, and I'm not trying to do it without spoilers, but I have to say some stuff or aspects of the movie to give a concise review. Now, the movie starts off with narration. Yo, this is Future Leer talking, man, and I've done the editing and after post editing and all that other stuff, and listening back to it and getting ready to upload to it. I got high and I thought about it again. I listened to it again. Bro, I'm glazing the shit out of this movie. The movie is good and glaze is necessary. Don't be wrong. Don't get me wrong. But still, it's some criticism that I did have about the movie. There's a few criticisms that I did have about the movie. I feel like, I know a lot of people probably gonna disagree, but some of the Paul aspects could have been cut for more of the villain backstory. I had a few more questions on her. Where did she come from? I know that you can see that she gets her powers from the tree, and obviously she's a witch, but I want to know her backstory and her connection to Alex's family. I want to know that. I feel like we could have cut down on some of Paul and James' storyline. I know they are probably the funniest and most, we're going to be the most rewatch scenes of the movie is there, both of their parts. But I feel like we could have done more backstory on Gladys. Also, Marcus was a bit, his role was a bit diminished a little bit. I know his thing was, oh, he doesn't know what's going on and he's just trying to keep everyone safe. But when his thing happened, it happened very quick. And I know that during the third act or the latter half of the film, they had to hurry up and piece everything together and make sure the mystery is solved and everything. And I feel like some stuff could have been cut for other things. Also, if you're looking for that traditional horror, more bloody, gory type element in your horror, this film isn't it. It's more of a thriller. Where are they? Who done it? And a little bit of comedy. I feel like that's fresh. And I feel like, me personally, off of one watch, Barbarian is a better horror film than this film. It made the way that this film is shot, how it's telling different stories from different characters' point of view that may throw a couple of people off. If you are that type of person who don't fully pay attention to movies and keep it on in the background as you are playing on your phone or doing something else, then you will miss significant parts. But that's on you and how you watch films. Over again, I just want to be able to tell y'all that I didn't want to go in here just completely glazing this film. I personally, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's an 8 or a 9-ish, but not a 10 out of 10. There are some flaws in this movie. The last act, like I said, they rushed some stuff together to tie it all in a good bow, but it still ended good. And I just wanted to say that.
And this girl is telling a story about this is based on this is a true story where I don't think it's really a true story, but 17 kids in a class one night at 217, they just disappear without no knowing beforehand, no like nefarious things, no foul play. They just get up out of bed all at 217, do this one T-pose and run out of their houses. And we know it's 217 because there's some ring camera footages and alarm trips at 217 where all the kids from this classroom, not all of them, disappear. Because one kid, whose name is Alex, he's left behind. And the teacher, who is Julie Gardner, Ruth from Ozark, plays, she plays the teacher Justine in there. And I'm not going to be long-winded about it. Obviously, the town is mad to blame Justine. So the first act of the movie revolves around Justine and her dealing with the town believing that she did this act and her coping with it, whether it be drinking or trying to rekindle a toxic relationship that wasn't good for either party involved, which we're going to get to his part eventually. So fast forward, she kind of does her own little investigating as to what happened and why it happened. And she finds out where something is taking place, and it kind of leads to her being part of the ritual that that caused the kids to end up disappearing. But so the movie, that's kind of the premise of the movie. The movie is the kids disappear. The kids disappear, and they're trying to find out. The town is trying to find out why and when. And basically, the movie follows certain people and their roles in this disappearance, and how at the end of all of it, everything makes sense, and even the whole town just covers up what happens. So then, as we get done with Justine part, it goes to Josh Brolin's character, who is Archie, and his son disappears, so he rightfully so is angry. So fast forward on him, he has a dream, and in this dream he sees what happens to his son. He sees his son running away. But as he's chasing his son, he goes out into his yard and he turns and sees his house. And there is this AR-15 weapon just above his home. And it says 217 on the weapon. Or like on the rifle of the rifle of the weapon. So so a lot of that 217 is a focal point for the movie. Like, I believe I was watching some of the press who were there at the release, and 217 was a focal point in the movie. Like, they were like 217 clocks, like the clock was at 217. So that goes into some theories that I'm gonna discuss in a later part of this video. So it follows Josh Brolin's character, and then his character ends up, it shows aspects from every main character's point of view. So it all happens in a span of over this timeline, and it's telling the story from every character's point of view. You get to Justine, you get Josh Brolin, you get Benedict Wong's character, you get his character portrayed, you get his this crackhead named James character portrayed, you get this police officer Paul, who Julia Gardner's character had an affair with before you get his point of view. And like every story, every character story leads up to this moment, to this final climax in Act 3. In Act 3, we get from Alex's point of view and we find out what happened and why this thing happened. So, without trying to give too much away, somebody gets involved with his family and that person ends up being a witch. And that witch uses power, life force to live or to feed off on, and she needs more of it. So basically she takes Alex's mother and father hostage and from the school, his classmates. Now Alex isn't particularly the most popular kid. He kind of gets bullied, and it's kind of another allegory for another point in the movie or what the movie is about. So Alex just ends up doing a Uno reverse on the witch and using her power against her, and ends up saving the whole town, or basically solves the mystery. But that ends up getting covered up as explained in the beginning. So I know that was like long winded and it's kind of all over the place, but I'm going off of a fresh one time scene of this movie, and I can tell you this movie, if it's not better than Barbarian, it is up there. This is one of the best horror movies I've seen in recent years, and pretty sure a lot of people would agree with me on that. But so going into this movie, I did not know what to expect, and even leaving out of the movie, I was still like, like I love watching YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. I love watching YouTube. So I was watching a lot of people's interpretation of the movie, and I swear to God, every single review that I watched was a different telling of the story or what they kind of got. I mean, the main plot points everybody did get, we pretty much got, but what they took away from it is all different. So what I take away from this movie, Weapons, is I think it's about school shootings and weaponizing humans. Just because the one person that I found out about, or one person explained it, is that the way that the kids run is like it's kind of like a military plane or a air carrier that was napalm bombing the in the Vietnam War, and it's this one famous picture where this one particular girl, I guess, is on fire. I haven't seen the picture, but she's on fire and she's like kind of posed out like how the kids were running in there. So that kind of like from Ryan Coogler's from Ryan's, the director's standpoint, that this is showing the weaponizing of society and everything. And I think that's very, 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 it touches on it to a very, very good T. Like even the all the classmates missing, and it's just one classmate. It's kind of allegory on school shootings. Like like you see that this kid is bullied and he's outcast, and like he's very docile. He's very like when he finds out that his parents are under like control, and he's just like under this witch's control, he's trying to get his parents back by any means possible. And she tells him just go to school and just continue life as normal, and he literally does that. To like the only person who kind of like points him out is the teacher, because she kind of goes through it too and she doesn't have anything to do. So she's kind of, I would say, she's kind of a painting of us, to where we try to find sense in something. So and she ends up being right. Like there is something going on, but yeah, that was I thought that was very interesting. Alex was one of my favorite characters, and is probably my favorite. But to go on even the shots of this movie, it was just one particular scene where Justine is like, she's at home and she's drinking and she's getting ready to chill and everything, and somebody like knocks on her door. Like, it was just this one simple knock, and the camera just like the camera, the camera shot, it goes kind of like, I wouldn't say like a wide shot, but it shifts to the door very quick, kind of like how it did in Barbarian with this one scene where the the basement doors, it's a knock on the basement door and the camera just zooms over to that. So as soon as I seen that in Weapons, I was like, oh, that's in Barbarian, that's in Barbarian. But yeah, so like I said, if you, everybody who's gonna see this movie, or the people who see this movie, they're gonna take something different from this. I took something different from it before I seen somebody else explain, like, oh yeah, he was trying to touch on like school shootings and like the importance of dealing with grief, or like how humans weaponize other humans. It's a lot in this film that it just isn't in your traditional horror, and I'm very, very impressed with the director's vision on that. But I'm gonna get into some of the theories that I have on the 217 number that we seen in the movie.